Right, so myself and Hayley here are from Gather Workshops, and we go into high schools and we're supporting students in meeting with IT professionals. So we take in a group of people from the IT industry who help them learn some coding. We focus on a web context because it's very visual, it's very easy for students to take home and continue working on. That's really important for us. And we also enjoy going into these schools because quite often the students we're given are not opt-in, they're put there because their teacher has decided that this is a good thing for them. And so we get a bunch of students coming through who aren't the ones who would necessarily choose a path into IT traditionally. And so getting them just for a day and showing them this is what IT really is, these are some people who work in IT, these are the jobs they do, and this is the cool stuff you can make, actually changes a lot of their minds. We collect stats from them that ask them, would you have considered working in IT before today, and would you consider afterwards? And that jumps from around 50% up to around 80% who would actually go into industry, and 98% of them, regardless of whether they're interested in industry or not, 98% want to learn more. And these are kids in high school, so anywhere between 13 and 17. And they're really keen. It's just that the problem we're focusing on is their teachers don't really know how to teach this stuff in such a way that it inspires the students. There is no pathway at the moment for teachers who want to become a digital technologies teacher to learn what they need to know to really be able to inspire these kids. We see students like Indy Griffiths, who started Parent Interviews recently, and he started his first business, which is becoming a very successful business moving into Australia, while he was still at school. And we want more students like this. There's no reason why every high school shouldn't be able to offer these sorts of opportunities for their students, and that's the problem that we're solving.
Yeah, I spoke to a Year 12 student the other day who tells me that he doesn't go to bed at night till 1:30 every night, because he's running his business between 9 and 1:30 in the morning. Year 12, and he's turning over, I think, something like $150,000, $200,000 a year already. So how much of you, and this is kind of a general question, feel free to sort of dive in, but how much are you all feeling overwhelmed by clearly seeing the demand, but really feeling somewhat inadequate about being able to meet it?
Demand exceeds supply just
by a factor of
infinity. We started only a year ago. I started promoting Gather Workshops directly to schools. It was kind of just a side project before that. And we've gone from seeking funding and then offering all of our workshops for free to schools to being forced to charge for them because we cannot go to every school who wants us. So if you want to sponsor.
I think shameless plug.
Shameless plug, because the money has to come from somewhere. We're people who are giving our time, but there's only so much you can give. And these teachers need training, and it takes a long time for the government to catch up with the needs of people like teachers, and so we're going to have to plug the gap for now, and we need the support of industry to be able to do that.
Encouraging kids into the courses, do you think, or the parents, or the kids themselves?
So us in particular, we are normally organised to come to school by the IT teacher. Quite often they will be teaching programming loosely. They're not really sure what it is they're delivering, and they'll have us come in for the full day workshop with their students, where they'll go start to finish knowing almost no code or no code to building a website and publishing it online. And from that the students get, hey, I can actually make really cool stuff, and the teacher gets, oh, that's how you teach it.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful for the teachers. I get teachers saying, hey, can we just come and sit in on one of your workshops? We want to see how it is that you're engaging all these students. Because on the forums we have teachers saying, year after year the number of students in our classes are going down, and I'm going into schools and having kids saying, when's the next workshop? There's something wrong there, and it's difficult, I think, for teachers from just being in one school to be able to see what the problem is.
Yeah, but I think too, if you lift that playing field, we see that's what's going on in schools, but the huge issue is what's happening in the industry. And we know that central government is recruiting, or we, New Zealand, is recruiting 30% from offshore. I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean in terms of this pipeline that we're desperately trying to build? It needs much more focus. It needs you guys to be demanding, New Zealand talent, local talent, and as you said, for these programs to be resourced to deliver that talent.
It seems to me, I do a little bit of work kind of in schools at periphery as well too, but it seems to me that this is just a situation that the education system is just not going to be able to cope with itself. It needs outside partners. Do people agree with that?
So the education system can cope. So it's set up for it. It's just that we're not teaching people to be able to deliver it.
Well, I
tend to not agree with that. I sit on a school board, and I can definitely, having such a digital advocate, and yet having your school, firstly, on the strategic plan, wipe it off there, firstly, then your teachers, and how can our teachers encourage our kids to get into IT if they themselves don't understand it?
Right, so you're saying that the system allows for it. So there are schools that are doing this well. It's just we need to hold them up as examples of this is how you should do it, not wiping it from the board, like actually acknowledging that it's necessary.
In my case, they did actually remove it from the subject. There is definitely a demand there. There's definitely an interest there. And it doesn't start in college. It actually starts at the home. It goes to, which is something that we actually do, Accelerating Aotearoa. It's transitional. It starts from the home. It starts when they go to early childhood. It starts when they go to primary. It starts when they go to intermediate. And then it sort of goes to college. But as you get older, the stats tells us that actually falls off when you go to college. What does that? That's an opportunity for us in ICT to say, hey, what is happening? How can we add to this? And how can we collaborate? Because obviously, you earlier wanted to say something. Lack of resources. Passion, yes. Demand, yes. Do we have enough? No. And huge. Cohesiveness hasn't happened. For someone who's in community, my family, obviously, we've got laptops, IT, but they're not interested in IT subjects. Our own families, how do we encourage our own families to get into IT? IT is, unfortunately, they say IT is something over there, not here. Is it cool? No. Maybe robotics is cool, but that's only like a handful of the pocket. This is a great opportunity for us. Change the way we're actually communicating that IT is cool. Bring some cool IT people who've made. Don't bring the ones in America, I'm telling you. Bring the ones that we have locally planned.
So Hayley actually went to a high school that does IT well. So she actually came into IT through a path of learning programming at school. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that?
So I just recently finished high school, just last year. And I think what's interesting is by the time you reach high school, all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure to decide where you want to go. And so your parents and your friends' parents and everybody around you saying, oh, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, because there's lots of money there and there's lots of jobs. And so I started talking about IT to my parents, and they go, there's no jobs in IT, like someone's going to come take over computers. And so you just start thinking, oh, well, that's not a very viable career option. Like, I don't know anyone in IT, so it mustn't be much of a thing. I'll just go down the path of medicine maybe. And so it takes somebody from outside of your inner circle to say, actually, there are heaps of jobs here, and what I do every day is really, really cool. And so I'm so thankful that I went to a school that offered IT as a subject, because I never would have found it, and I never would have been working the awesome job that I get to do each day, and I would never have been studying computer science if it wasn't for that influence. So it's really important for people from outside to come in and say, actually, what this industry is awesome. It is a viable career option, and it is definitely for you. There's so many students just think, oh, I don't know, I failed at setting up a printer yesterday, I couldn't possibly program. It's just not true at all.
From that visibility of it, from the media, TV, movies, whatever, you get one sort of image of what IT, IT gigs might be, but that's not really showing the industry. And I guess as you grow up, you know what a teacher does, you know what a doctor does, you know all these other professions, you understand them.
Which creates this kind of need to promote those other tracks. Zoe, one thing about OMG Tech, it has made IT cool. I think it's a very cool brand, and you are doing cool quite well. Just tell us a bit about, some of the aspiration that you have around what you're trying to do with that particular project.
So with OMG Tech, this whole issue came to it, particularly around the girls, that if a girl's not involved in a topic by the time she's 11, they're very unlikely to go into it as a career. So by 11 you know what a doctor and a lawyer and a teacher does, but you do have no idea what an IT person or a scientist does. So when we focused on OMG Tech, we went, who should we touch at that very young age? It's got to be primary school kids, because that's when you get them excited about going into these careers, and they still want to play and they still want to learn, and they're not kind of thinking, is it cool yet, am I being an IT geek? So we go into that primary school age and work with them to make it cool. Because if you can't get them at that age, you're not going to get them at all. And we've got this whole, I mean, the demand, we've sold out every single event that we've ever run. They tend to sell out within about 12 hours. Kids want it. But a primary school teacher gets about 3 hours worth of teaching in science and IT while they're doing their degree. They don't get taught this stuff at all. So they're really reliant on people engaging with those schools to support those teachers to come in and do it. And if there's not a parent at that school who is involved in this as an industry, then those schools don't have anything. And the teachers don't know how to teach it, and they're really scared of getting it wrong or what that technology is themselves, because they don't know it. Most of our teachers are women in these primary schools, so there's this real big imbalance, and we're trying to get rid of it by bringing IT people in, bringing scientists in, bringing people that actually do 3D printing and robots as jobs, and show the kids that you can do it, and it's fun and it's cool. We're big on gender, you might have picked that up. So at least half the people we have coming along to volunteer for us are women, but they're all just people like you guys out of your industries that want to come along and help expose the kids. And we've built it in a way that any one of you can take what we do and run it at your schools, at your kids' schools, at your friends' kids' schools. Because we want every school to have access to exciting these kids into these careers. Because you've got to get them young, and you've got to make it cool. You've got to make it fun. Robots are fun.
So it's very open source.
Yeah.
What you're doing. I'll just get a quick comment from Diane, and then we'll